Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for the week. Oh no, this is your May bonus reading. You have this card that says Speak Your Truth. It says Gemini on it. It says choose your words wisely. Remember that your words have consequences. You have this Fleeting Flare Path card. It says something in your life will be brief, not meant to stay in your life forever. But I do think it's an amazing time for you to speak your truth, as in for you to like literally say how you feel and also to be honest with yourself about things, right? It's like sometimes I do think we kind of not, I don't know that we're really lying to ourselves, but you can't make this up. You have this communication is key, new moon in Gemini right here. So, clearly speaking about your life as you want it to be is going to be important for you this month. And it's definitely something that I would pay attention to. But where I was going with that is, sometimes I think we say we want something or like something, but we really don't. And so I would just, speak your truth. You have the Four Cups as how you are entering into this reading. I'm doing this Celtic Cross. In this Celtic Cross, the four of that first card is how you enter in to the reading. And so the Four Cups to me can sometimes say that you are feeling dissatisfied, or, there is some sort of dissatisfaction going on in your life. This is a card of contemplation and apathy, a card of thinking the grass is greener on the other side when it isn't. But really, that's the feeling I get here is more dissatisfaction, which a couple of people have had a similar message. So, people, but I also don't think this is a bad thing, is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, it's like, sure, yeah, sometimes we can feel dissatisfied, but sometimes that dissatisfaction is what makes us look for something better. So I feel in a lot of ways, it's like if you're being honest about your situation in life, I'm not saying things are terrible, but maybe things could be better. And that's probably what you're saying to yourself with this card. Like, hey, things in my life could be better. The other thing about the Four Cups is that, he's tried to manifest these cups in front of him, and he's been disappointed with the result, and now he's getting a new opportunity, but he's not accepting it because he was disappointed 3 times before, at least. So the Four Cups, I think, sometimes says you have to take what you learned from these disappointments and you have to mix it together and apply it to this new situation. And what do you know? You have the card of mixing cups, the Temperance card right there. So, I think kind of like looking at things that haven't worked and then mixing together what you learned is going to be the secret for Gemini. I'm pretty sure that I've said this to you before, so it seems to be like a little bit of a theme that's going on for you right now, Gemini, and it would definitely be a focus for me. And guess what? It is a focus for me. I'm a Gemini moon, and so I frequently listen to Gemini readings, and I would definitely say this is something that I'm going to pay attention to. When I do the readings, I take myself out of the readings because I don't want to affect the reading. But again, I kind of feel like this is something I need to do as well. So I will be doing the same thing. And, I do feel the card is saying, like, you need to realize that you can turn a disappointment into a success. And even the Temperance card, says the same thing. The Temperance card is Sag, which is your opposite sign. So, maybe even working with some of that Sagittarian energy would be very beneficial. I tell people all the time, I think all of us should be learning our opposite sign because usually our opposite sign has something to teach us, right? And so it might be a good time for you to do that. Your crossing energy. The crossing energy can be what hurts you or helps you in a Celtic cross. You have the Three of Pentacles. You've been getting the Three of Pentacles with me like crazy over the past few weeks at least. Three of Pentacles says, teamwork makes the dream work. So working together with other people might be important. But I think what I've been saying to you is that you have to be the leader. You have to be the one that's getting credit for the work. He's done this work right here. The Three of Pentacles is a card of quality work as well. So he's done a really good job. And these people are giving him credit for what he has created. So, whatever you're creating or working on at this time, I feel that you should be working together with other people, as long as you are the leader. And so the way to look at this is that you need to work with people who come in a support position, who really kind of like lift you up. And that's what I would be focusing on with this energy. The other thing about the Three of Pentacles is that this lady right here has polka dots on her cloak. And polka dots in the tarot can represent taking things too seriously, needing to be more playful, needing to take a more lighthearted approach to life. I almost just said love, so sure, needing to take a more lighthearted approach to love, but all areas of life. So, being more playful and lighthearted and not taking things too seriously is probably also going to be important. You have the Temperance card. The Temperance card is coming up in the area of what's on your mind or the area of your thoughts. So you are already probably thinking about mixing things together. He's mixing these two cups together. He's practicing alchemy, turning one thing into another. I feel that Gemini, out of all the signs, has your superpower is being able to look at two sides of something and find something completely different. That is your superpower, is to look at both sides and take the best out of things and being able to mix the things you learn together to create something new. And I feel that would be an amazing thing for you to do right now. The other thing about the Temperance card is sometimes I feel like he's trying to be too perfect. This path behind him is called the path to glory, and we have this glowing crown here, but he's still just standing here mixing these cups together. He could get off on that path and he could go get his crown right now. There's nothing more that he really needs to do. There's nothing more for him to perfect. So again, if you're waiting to do something, I would just do it now instead of waiting with this Temperance card, because I just feel because the energy says so, right? Because the energy exists and it says you can be successful now. There's nothing really more that you have to wait for. Next, in the area of your foundation, you have the Ten of Wands. Working too hard, Gemini, for sure. I think, as a Gemini type person myself, again, I'm a 5-degree Pisces as well. And if you don't know, 5 degrees is Gemini. So I am super Gemini in some ways, but even though I'm a Pisces. But the Ten of Wands, is carrying a heavy burden. Now, I don't think the Ten of Wands is a bad card, because he's about to reach his home. He's carrying his harvest. The story is that he planted those wands and he's about to have a harvest. But, I kind of feel we're in a time where we have to be very careful of hard work. I said it in all the 2025 readings that the key word for 2025 and probably 2026 as well is going to be efficiency. That doesn't mean we can't work hard. It just means that if we're working hard, we need to be getting a multiple of a result from what we're working hard on. Because as long as you're getting more than what you put in, then that's fine, right? But if you're just working hard just to work hard and you're not getting more of a result, then you're going to burn out, right? So I feel the Ten of Wands is saying you need to look at your responsibilities, number one, and you need to look at what responsibilities are actually important and what ones are not important. And you also need to kind of look at your work and you need to say, am I just doing this the hard way? And is there a better way? Or can I transform this with the Temperance energy? Can I make this something that is easier for me to do? And if the answer is yes, then that's what I would do. So, I think us Gemini people are, smart. And so we come up with brilliant ideas, but sometimes there's too much that goes into it. So I feel the Ten of Wands is saying keep things simple. Next, in the area of your past, this is the energy you're moving past. You have this new moon in Gemini. It says communication is key. You also have this new moon in Virgo. It says a time to give rather than take. Yes. So definitely a time to give rather than take. But I also feel that being clear with yourself and being clear with people would be a good thing. I'm also getting here that, I'll start here. You have the Seven of Pentacles, and Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? But this is coming up in a past position, but I am getting something for right now. Right this second when you're watching this video, that if people are asking you to do things, I feel you need to say no. I think that you have enough to work on. You end with the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is a very independent energy, and so I think the entire summer, until September, I feel that people could be coming at you and saying hey, will you help me with this? Will you do this? Will you do that? And I kind of feel your answer needs to be no, because really, I feel that you're working on something and you're building something. And, if you give too much of your time to every single person, then you're going to have a hard time. And I feel the Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? You really need to look at your responsibilities, everything you're working on, and say, is this worth it? Or is it just a time suck? Is it just stealing my time? Or is there something better I could be doing with my time? And, I would just think about that with the Seven of Pentacles, plain and simple. Next, in the area of your very near future, you have this Earth card. It says, utilize logic, reason, and common sense. Yes. You have this Black Cat. It says, your luck will change soon. Love it. You've been getting a lot of cards with me recently that have been saying that you are entering into a lucky time. So, it could be a very lucky time for you. When you become more lucky, I think people want more of your time. And so, I would be careful of who you give what to at this time, but I feel that your luck is changing for the better. You have the Justice card, logic and reason. Exactly what that Earth card says. You know, justice is very logical and reasonable, and is also the person on the Justice card is in a neutral position. They look at things from a neutral perspective and really weigh things up. So if people are asking you to do things, even the things that you are doing, you need to weigh it up and say, is this working? Is the scale tilting in the right way, in the right direction, or am I wasting my time? You know, the Justice card is cause and effect, meaning you take an action and you get some sort of result. So it's going to be very important for you for the rest of the year to really look at, you know, the results you're getting for what you're doing. And you need to be very like cut and dry and logical about it. Like, trust me, I'm the type of person, I come up with an idea sometimes and I get way too attached to it, even if it isn't working, right? That is not justice. You have to be like, this is like cold, hard facts. You need to, you know, if something isn't working, you have to be honest with yourself about it and say, even though I really like this idea, I need to do something else because it's not cutting it. If something is working, then you need to be like, this is working. I need to do more of this, right? And so I would look at it from both sides with the Justice card. I do also literally feel justice here on this Justice card. So if you're involved in something legal, there could be justice coming in for you here. I'm also getting a very weird message here, Gemini, that like if you have recently been pulled over or something, I feel like you should fight it with the Justice card. It kind of popped into my head that, like, you know, if you got pulled over, like, and you take it to court, maybe you'll get off of it. So I don't know. That's for maybe one of you out there. Next, in the outcome row, you have this deep knowing card and this not for you card. I do feel like some of you know that something is not for you deep down inside. Like, so it's probably something that you're doing, because that's kind of what I feel on that Justice card. Like, maybe you realize that something isn't worth it anymore, or something isn't cutting it anymore, and you're kind of, you know that you need to make a change. And yeah, I would just make the change, plain and simple. In the area of the next few months, you have the Page of Swords. I kind of see you exploring. You know, the Page of Swords isn't really a card of exploration. You know, it's a card of curiosity. But he could explore his curiosity. You know, so if you're interested, or if you're developing new interests, if you're developing new ideas for life or whatever, I would definitely explore those different ideas and the different directions in your life, because that's probably where you're going to get the best answers, Gemini. With this energy. And so I actually feel this is very good for you over the next few months. I think it's encouraging that kind of curious energy and the energy of researching. I always say with the Page of Swords, we can't just skim the surface of something. We have to like dive deep into something. So if you're becoming interested in like a new career path, new idea, new person, whatever, this says do the deep dive and really learn about it. And that's where the benefits will come from. Next, in the area of your closest relationships, you have the Five of Swords. Five of Swords is a card of separation. Some of you could be dealing with a separation or a breakup or something like that. If you're not dealing with that, you know, again, I think Ten of Wands, you're probably realizing that some of your connections are worth it and some of them aren't worth it, and that it's just that simple, right? Sometimes I think we realize that some people, it's like, I don't even think that people are necessarily bad people when they do this, but, you know, it's like, I feel like you're realizing that some people just want things from you. And again, that doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, but, you know, at the same time, I think that you could be realizing like, hey, I'm giving all my time to like this random person in my life and I'm not getting anything done. So, you know, I would be careful of that with the Five of Swords. Next, in the area of your future feelings, you have the Five of Wands. Five of Wands is like conflict or competition. If you're doing anything important at this time, Gemini, I think there will be a lot of conflict and competition around you. Now, is that a bad thing? No. I think that the Five of Wands says we have to learn from the competition. We have to look at the competition and see what they're doing and what we're not doing. And we have to see if we can fill in the gaps or do things differently. Again, like I said with the Temperance card, sometimes we can look at the competition and we can come up with like another idea that we mix together with whatever we're doing, and we can rise above the competition or completely avoid it as well. So I would be looking at all those things with the Five of Wands for sure. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is like independence, gratitude, luxuries, you know, creating wealth. So a lot of you could be working on creating wealth for yourself. A lot of people have ended with the Nine of Pentacles, which is kind of weird for this month. But whatever. It could just be a Nine of Pentacles month where people are more focused on like the nicer things in life. Venus is finally moving forward, and Venus was retrograde, so people could be feeling more like they want more something nice in their life or want nicer experiences, and that could be why this card is showing up so much. The Nine of Pentacles, I feel like focus is going to be very important for you. She has this falcon right here on her hand, and it represents the fact that she is training her focus. She's training her brain like what to focus on to get the best result. And so focusing on the truth is probably what you need to do with all these like personal truth cards that are showing up here, Gemini, and that's what I would do there. We can't make this up. With the Four of Cups and the Three of Pentacles, you have the Page of Wands. So like I said, definitely adventurous energy with that Page of Swords. The Page of Wands kind of like says the same thing. I think to give ourselves more options, we have to play around with more things. We have to experiment more, explore more, go on more adventures. That's how we learn the most. The past like 6 years has been all about leaving behind Groundhog's Day. I think that the energy has kind of kept people in a routine, and now the universe is like, okay, like that routine, it served you well, but now it's like you probably feel like a hamster on a hamster wheel, just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So now it's time to explore, find new ways of doing things so that you can live a more vibrant life, so that you can have new experiences and have fun, right? So there's probably something that you want to change that feels like a hamster wheel, and that's what I would do. With the Temperance card, you have the World. The World is like accomplishments, achievements. I think you are thinking about accomplishments and achievements. I kind of do feel also with that World card that it's like there are things that you should be doing to have those accomplishments. I feel like a little bit of motivation is lacking here a little bit, Gemini. I don't think that's really your fault either. I think it's probably, I'll blame all the retrogrades that we've been through. But I would try to do things to get motivated. It's like if you could start having small wins with whatever you're trying to accomplish, then I think you will feel more motivated, and then you will have the accomplishment that you are thinking about with that card. With the Ten of Wands, you have the High Priestess. Yeah, your true potential. The High Priestess says you have to focus on your intuition, of course, and she's a card of mysteries and learning about mysteries. But the High Priestess is a card of like unlimited potential. She has no roof over her head here, and so while she can represent intuition and spirituality and mysteries and secrets, what she really represents is reaching your full potential. And so we have to there are no limits with this card. We have to kind of try to blow past our limits, and maybe that's what you're doing here, Gemini, is you're blowing past your limits, which that would be a good thing. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Chariot. I don't know, I get like a million things here, if I'm being honest with you, Gemini. Number one, I am getting something here about, I would be careful of working again with a past person. I'm not talking about love. I'm saying, if you worked with a past person, I almost feel like there could be a person who's, coming into your life and being like, hey, I need help on this thing. And it's like a person that you used to work with. But I feel like they're like a real time waster. And I feel like that, It's like, it's like I hate meetings. I have a no meeting rule. Plain and simple. And it's like I worked with a person in the past where it's like we were having 2-hour meetings on a project every multiple times a week, which is ridiculous. It's like, why not just get the freaking work done, right? So that triggers me. And what I would say here is I would be careful of any working again with any time wasters. The Chariot with the Seven of Pentacles could also just say you're setting yourself apart. The reading is encouraging you to set yourself apart. Five of Wands. It's like, yeah, sure, you might be working on something where there is competition. It could even be love, right? But you can do things to be better than the competition, and that's what I would focus on with that card. With the Justice card, you have the Six of Cups. Again, I get this feeling of being careful of the past in general. So, this could be a past person who's trying to come in and apologize or something like that. You can accept the apology, but I would be careful of that for sure. Outside of past people, the Six of Cups can represent a gift from the universe. And usually the gift we receive from the Six of Cups is a turnaround, meaning we've been bumping up against an obstacle, and we could be blowing past the obstacle with the Six of Cups. And the Justice card would be kind of how you do it. The Justice card would be you deciding that something that's been an obstacle isn't worth it, or you could be discovering a better way to do things. So I do feel you could be overcoming some obstacles here. With the Page of Swords, you have the Devil. I'm like, I don't know. I do feel like someone is obsessed with you here, Gemini. So, take it how it resonates. If someone is coming back to apologize, you can take it. But I don't know. I would like block and move on. But even if you block and move on, I feel like this could be a person who still watches you. As long as they don't do anything creepy, I guess, who cares, right? Just another fan to add to the list, right, Gemini? With the Five of Swords, you have the Hierophant. I would be careful of like the way people say things should be done is what I feel. Hierophant is kind of like a strict belief system. And sometimes I feel that we can start to believe a person's like strict belief systems, right? And like in work and business or whatever, like there are rules for everything. Like even on YouTube, there are like rules that people come up with that aren't even true. And for every rule that some YouTube expert comes up with, there's a rule breaker. Like I'm a big believer in that. And so the Hierophant is like, these are the rules for how this works. And I feel that this is saying like, no, there are no rules. There will always be a rule breaker for every single, quote unquote rule that exists. And, as long as you're not breaking the law, I feel the Hierophant here is encouraging you to use that Gemini brain to think outside the box, to come up with unique solutions and all that other stuff. With the Five of Wands, yes, you have the Judgment card. Again, I would be careful of a past person coming in to try to knock you off your square or something like that. This kind of gives me the feelings of like a person who's like, I'm wondering if I can still trigger this person. I'm wondering if they still love me. It's like it might be a person who's trying to come in and piss you off or whatever. So if you do have a past person, I would ignore it. The other thing is that on the positive side of things here, I would say that you could be discovering your purpose like through competition. You could be discovering a way around the competition, and that's like your true purpose in work, career, business, or otherwise, or whatever you're doing. The Judgment card is like feeling a pull as well. So normally with the Judgment card, I feel like our higher self, this is your higher self angel right here, is calling you up to something bigger and better. And so you're clearly being guided towards something better. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Temperance card, yes. So to get to the Nine of Pentacles, you have to mix like two things together. Or, the reading is saying you have to like mix things together to find that level of success. And that's exactly what I would be doing there, Gemini, for sure. Next, you have this Forest card. It says muddled, unclear thinking. We are still in a little bit of a time of muddled, unclear thinking because of the retrogrades. We're past the retrogrades, but at the beginning of May, we're still going to be dealing with some of the shadow and things like that. Now, here's the thing, is that you have the 10 of Wands, and those 10 wands are all in front of his face. So he can't see where he is going on the 10 of Wands. He can't see the forest through the trees, right? So for a lot of you, that 10 of Wands and this card could say that really you could be clear if you removed some extra responsibilities, or if you got rid of some things that you don't need to be doing. So you could probably clear things up very quickly. You have this dog. It says protection from a powerful friend. Yeah, I would I think people can come from love or fear, right? I would be focusing on people who come from the place of love, expansion, abundance, growth, all those things. Like those are the types of people that you should be surrounding yourself with. You have this funnel card. It says period of frustration, lessons to be learned. I think this is how we live life. We're all going towards something, but we're funneling into it. And like to get to wherever we're going, we're like bouncing off the walls. Like we try one thing, it doesn't work. We go the other direction, it doesn't work. And then eventually we become more specific about what we're trying to accomplish, and then we have the accomplishment, right? So I encourage people to do this faster. This is why I encourage people to make mistakes and do more things with their life, because I know that you will learn from those things, and when you apply what you learned, eventually you will get to the bottom of the funnel and you will have figured things out. You have this grasshopper. It says situation in the balance that requires careful handling. I actually feel luck on this card. Grasshoppers can represent luck. They can represent taking big leaps in new directions and all that other good stuff. I would really encourage you this month. I would encourage you, Gemini, between now and September, to pick one thing that you accomplish. This says you have to handle something carefully, but I kind of feel it's saying that you have to finish something, something that you're working on. So I would challenge you this month, Gemini, to like pick one thing that you want to accomplish and see it through to the end, in like between now and September, and see what happens. You have this hat card. It says you will be playing a different role. I don't know. I think everybody is kind of like switching roles at this time. I see like the magician a lot in readings. I see so many cards that would represent transitions, transformations, things like that. So, a lot of you could be making a big transition here. But this looks really good. I like where this is going, Gemini. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your month.